A Pennsylvania SWAT team leader is claiming that Secret Service never told his team to man the roof where the gunman who took aim at former President Trump was located.
Isn't the fact that a former president was shot, that a good American is dead, that other Americans were critically wounded, isn't that enough mission failure for you to say that the person who decided that that building should not be in the security perimeter probably ought to be stepped down?
It was the first time Secret Service counter snipers were deployed to support the former president's detail.
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln.
The Secret Service held its first press conference since Donald Trump was nearly executed on live TV. After stonewalling the media and congressional investigators for 3 weeks, Director Ronald Rowe made a shocking admission. Watch.
Can you confirm that this was the first 2024 campaign event that counter-sniper teams were assigned to the former president?
It was the first time Secret Service counter snipers were deployed to support the former president's detail.
The former president of the United States and the nominee as the Republican, the man who Democrats and the media have been labeling a clear and present danger to democracy, Hitler and a dictator, wasn't given Secret Service counter-sniper teams at his campaign rallies for the last 2 years. That means when they put Trump on trial in Manhattan, every day when he returned from court to Trump Tower, there were no Secret Service counter-snipers. The whole world knew Trump's schedule and location for 6 weeks in a city with thousands of windows and high-rises. No Secret Service counter-snipers. That means when Trump was in the Bronx, no Secret Service counter-snipers. Anyone could have climbed onto a tree, could have gone onto a rooftop with a gun. What about when he went to the bodega in Harlem after court? He's enveloped by buildings, hundreds of windows, any one of which a rifle could have fired from. No Secret Service counter-snipers. So why all of a sudden, after 2 years of no Secret Service counter-snipers, they showed up in Butler? And that was the rally where there was an attempt on his life. After the assassination attempt, the intelligence community leaked an exclusive to their friends at CNN, saying the reason they added counter-snipers to Butler was because of an Iranian threat to Trump's life. But that doesn't make any sense, because there's been an Iranian fatwa out for Trump since he whacked Soleimani. That was over 4 years ago. And when the feds were pressed about this, they admitted there wasn't any new intelligence from Iran. What a coincidence.
Jesse on Fox News revealed that the Secret Service didn't provide counter-sniper teams for Donald Trump's events for 2 years, even during his trial in Manhattan. When the counter-snipers finally showed up at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, there was an assassination attempt. The Secret Service blamed an Iranian threat, but that's been around since 2020. Despite claims of a briefing, local police said there was no contact with the Secret Service before or after the incident. Jesse called for an investigation into the Pittsburgh field office, saying they almost failed to protect Trump.
This election's crazier than a soup sandwich. One president dropped out, the other was shot in the head. Now you've got a female black Democrat campaigning for the white vote and a white Republican guy campaigning for the black vote. And the Hispanics are like, hola, over here. Trump flew to Chicago today for the Black Journalists Convention, first-time Republican nominee to do that in 20 years. Kamala was also invited, but she said she was too busy. But the guy who showed up was treated worse than the woman who ditched.
I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense, and then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you can answer the question on your rhetoric and why you believe that black voters should trust you with another 4 years.
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act.
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
Jesse Waters shared a moment from a campaign event where Trump was asked a tough question about his past comments and actions. Trump responded by defending his record, stating he's done a lot for the black community, like creating jobs and supporting opportunity zones. Jesse said this moment shifted the campaign, showing Trump standing up for himself while Kamala Harris didn't show up, suggesting she takes the black vote for granted.
The Secret Service is stonewalling the investigation. Seems like a walking contradiction to me.
They're trying to cover it up, I think, and I think they have to answer for their actions.
Are you suspicious of what happened?
Yeah, 100%.
Why are you letting somebody take all that time to take the shot off?
I'm suspicious with everything.
Do you think the government's ever going to tell us the truth about what happened?
The government don't tell you the truth about nothing.
No, they do not. That knowledge you're going to have to seek on your own.
The less you know, the better for them.
Well, first of all, it's none of your business. I mean, frankly.
Before Donald Trump left, he put his fist up in the air and he said, fight, fight, fight. How'd that make you feel?
You would never see Biden doing that in a million years.
It looked good. It's a good look.
Power move. I love that.
Chad, please, go wipe that thing off, put some Neosporin on and call it a day.
Poor Donald. The public is enraged on why it's taking it this long to investigate Trump's shooting. A lot of them saying, when will the government tell the truth about what happened to Trump?
The head of the Secret Service holding a rare press conference after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Ronald Rowe saying while local police were trying to find the suspect, the Secret Service had no idea the shooter was on the roof or that he had a gun. Here's ABC's Chief Justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, the Secret Service acknowledging that their agents could not hear radio traffic in the moments as local police desperately tried to find the man who would soon attempt to assassinate former President Trump.
There was really a big sense of urgency going on, and the state and locals were doing everything they possibly could to try to find the assailant.
In fact, the Secret Service had no personnel in a key command post where the radio traffic about shooter Thomas Matthew Crooks was being listened to.
There was clearly radio transmissions that may have happened on that local radio net that we did not have.
Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe holding a rare press conference today. And while he continued to express concerns that local police may have had a vantage point to clearly see the shooter on the roof with a rifle, he again laid the blame for the overall failures squarely at the feet of his agency.
In no way should any state or local agency supporting us in Butler on July 13th be held responsible for a Secret Service failure.
And with this blunt assessment, as we approach the Democratic National Convention, the director warning that we're in a, quote, unprecedented threat environment. Whit?
Pierre Thomas in Washington, thank you.
The Secret Service held a rare press conference after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, where Director Ronald Rowe admitted that their agents were unaware of the shooter on the roof because they couldn't hear local police radio traffic. The Secret Service didn't have personnel at a key command post where the suspect, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was being tracked.
You had said something after Iowa, winning Iowa, which a lot of people talked about when you said, I love American cities and I'll work with anyone, Democrats, independents, Republicans, to fix those cities.
It's true.
Where would you start? what city would you like to start with on a federal, to the extent you can have partnerships?
It's so sad to see what's happening. Now, for the most part, you have to work with Democrats. They're all, the 25 worst cities are essentially
But you've done
all
that before.
Democrat. I've worked with Democrats. I lived in New York. Do you know, New York went bad when I left. Okay, think of it. New York, when I was there, was great. When I went to Washington, I left New York. I went to Washington. It started going really bad. We had a very bad mayor, but it took a little while, even with him as mayor. He was a terrible, now he's teaching at Harvard how to run something. He couldn't run anything, de Blasio. He was a terrible mayor, incompetent man. Now we have a man that's very much trying. It's a hard thing for him because you have so many migrants coming into New York. It's hard for him. I hear he likes me a lot, but I hear that only through the grapevine. Maybe.
Will you work with him to try to help New York?
I work with him. I'm going to give them funds. We're going to try and rebuild these cities. Chicago. Look at the crime. So on July 4th, 117 people. This is a weekend. 117 people were shot. 17 died. 17 died.
Heartbreak.
This is in Chicago.
I asked you this, I believe it was at Normandy, at the 75th anniversary of Normandy. I'm going to ask again. What do you pray for? I know you don't like to really talk about this, but I think most people across the country see you as an important figure, a critical figure at a desperate time for the country. They think that, and they want to know that you believe there's something more than just this moment.
Well, I do. I think one of the reasons that our country has lost sort of everything, it's lost so much, is we don't have religion to the same extent. I mean, you look at those charts, they're so sad. I mean, it's just going bad. And the Democrats were violent and ruthless to religion during COVID. What they did during COVID, people weren't even allowed to meet outside, and they were 10 feet apart in some big field. They'd arrest everybody. They were fascists. They were horrible. That was a very bad time for organized religion. But religion, you know, it gives you some hope. Gee, if I'm good, I'm going to heaven.
Do you believe in heaven?
I do.
In an interview, Trump talked about working with both Democrats and Republicans to fix American cities, starting with New York and Chicago. He criticized past mayors and current leadership, blaming high crime rates and poor management. Trump also shared his belief in the importance of religion and its decline in the U.S. He prays for his family, the country, and the world, expressing concerns about global conflicts like Russia-Ukraine and the Middle East.
A Pennsylvania SWAT team leader is claiming that Secret Service never told his team to man the roof where the gunman who took aim at former President Trump was located. And a counter sniper, currently with the Secret Service apparently, says another assassination attempt could happen before November. CB Cotton joins us live once again on this Wednesday from Butler, Pennsylvania. CB?
Hi, good morning, Steve. Well, testimony from Secret Service Acting Director Ronald Rowe makes it even more apparent there were communication failures long before the July 13th rally. Rowe testified yesterday that his agency expected local counter snipers would guard the roof that gunman Thomas Matthew Crooks fired from.
The gold arrow indicates where the shooter fired from. Looking left. Why was the assailant not seen? When we were told that building was going to be covered.
Rowe later admitted that his agency made a mistake, assuming that there would be eyes from local police guarding the roof of the AGR building, again, where gunman Thomas Matthew Crooks got off 8 shots with a clear view of about 150 yards to the rally stage where former President Donald Trump was speaking. But Rowe's testimony has left a blistering reaction among local officers who were there that day. Commander Patrick Young tells me Acting Director Rowe is wrong about the assignment and vantage point his snipers had.
But the Secret Service, he showed a window that was maybe
there.
right here,
Exactly.
looking out to the roof.
No, that's not where we were assigned. We were assigned over here in those first 2 windows.
So he's wrong about the assignment.
Absolutely.
A memo from a Secret Service counter sniper warns of another possible assassination attempt, criticizing the agency's leadership and calling for a top-level overhaul. Former agent Richard Stair-Polly agrees. emphasizing the need to clean house at the Secret Service to prevent future lapses.
This is the photograph, I believe, that you took, your team took of the roof, the AGR roof. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so from this vantage point, as the law enforcement who are in those windows, as they look left, they should be able to see the shooter clearly there on the AGR second floor roof. My question is, why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper on that roof?
So, Senator, when we post up, our methodology is to look at things that can see in on our protectees, so that they can provide that coverage.
But why is there not a Secret Service counter sniper there with clear line of sight? That roof has a clear line of sight to the former president. Why didn't you put a Secret Service counter sniper there?
The Secret Service's counter sniper role is to neutralize those threats that are looking in on us from where the protectee is, not necessarily
you think maybe you might want to revise that protocol in light of what happened here?
They were protecting the principal, and I think the
principal got shot.
Understand that, sir.
So do you think you might want to revise the protocol? Let me ask you this. Who was the lead site agent who made the decision to leave the AGR building completely outside of the security perimeter? Who was that?
Senator, I cannot give you that name. This person is operational. They're still doing investigations. They're still doing protective visits.
Have they been relieved of duty?
Senator, they have not been relieved of duty.
I know their name, by the way. Why have they not been relieved of duty?
They are still cooperating, not only being interviewed by the FBI, but also by our Office of Professional Responsibility. And we will let the facts of the mission assurance and any further investigations play out.
Isn't the fact that a former president was shot, that a good American is dead, that other Americans were critically wounded, isn't that enough mission failure for you to say that the person who decided that building should not be in the security perimeter probably ought to be stepped down?
Senator, I think you're using the word decided, and I think we need to allow the investigation play out to include.
Who did make the decision then? If it wasn't the lead site agent, who made the decision not to put that in the security perimeter?
Senator, you're zeroing in on one particular agent. I want to find out exactly what was the entire decision process. So I think I want to be neutral and make sure that we get to the bottom of it and interview everybody in order to determine if there was more than one person who perhaps exercised bad judgment.
During a Senate hearing, a senator questions why there wasn't a Secret Service sniper on the AGR building roof, which had a clear line of sight to protect the former President Trump. Senator demands accountability, noting that the lead agent who made the security decisions is still on duty despite the failures. The director insists on letting the investigation play out to determine all factors and individuals involved before making personnel changes.